Hello, I'm excited today. I get a chance to. Life's Co-Pilot is wanting to introduce one of our members, Jessie Hillock with the Memory Compass. Jessie, tell us who the Memory Compass is.
So the Memory Compass is an outpatient mobile therapy service. We are credentialed with Medicare Part B to provide in-home therapy to individuals who have a dementia diagnosis, dementia of all of the variants. So whether it's frontotemporal dementia, vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, Alzheimer's. And then we also provide private pay family coaching services to really support the families on their journey of navigating the care of their loved one and having things in place as the disease progresses.
So now, how did you get into this field?
Yeah. Uh, Good question. So, my background, I am a speech language pathologist, and my experience in speech language pathology has been working all with the geriatric population. So, I worked 6.5 years in skilled nursing facility settings. So, skilled nursing, that would be the buildings that I worked at. It was assisted living, memory care, long term care, and then also rehab to home. And what people do not know if you're not in that space is that if your loved one admits to that sort of a facility, whether it's to live there as a resident or whether it is to be there for therapy, anytime your loved one is demonstrating confusion, difficulty with word finding, difficulty with safety, they would get referred to a speech language pathologist because we do not just work on voicing or on swallowing or on, people think of maybe working with a stroke patient and we're trying to get them to be able to communicate again. But we work on that cognitive communication breakdown that happens as disease progresses with dementia or with Alzheimer's. And so that's the ability to follow directions, to sequence, attention to task. Are you noticing that maybe they're not managing their finances very well? Are you noticing that they're not managing their medications very well? Are you noticing that they're not remembering to lock their brakes on their rollator or their wheelchair? Those are all things that you'd never think that you would get referred to a speech language pathologist for. But over the course of that time and time again, I was hearing from families that, maybe their loved one had received a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's, but nobody had really explained the daily breakdown to them that I had had, and that they had, been told maybe here's a support group or here's like the Alzheimer's Association, and all of that is wonderful. I want everybody to have all of those resources. But what these families were looking for was a little bit more one-on-one of education and support, that they're not able to have that time in a neurologist's office to ask the questions that they might want to, or maybe some feel very sensitive to bringing up personal topics in a support group, so they just keep them to themselves. And so, the Alzheimer's Association has an amazing hotline for events that might happen, in the evening. There could be a traumatic event, but I wanted to be able to provide that one-on-one personalized support and experience to people out in the community before they needed the environment of assisted living, memory care, long-term care, or maybe before they had a traumatic event of having a fall and needing to admit to a skilled nursing facility for rehab. So I decided that I would go out on my own and start this mobile therapy service and this family coaching service to meet people where they are, at their stage of the disease, and to be able to provide them with tools and strategies, to try to enhance the quality of life of everyone involved, the care partners and the individual who has a dementia diagnosis.
Well, when we first met, I think you told me that you're the only one so far in your space in the state of Indiana.
Yes. So there are definitely, other speech therapists across Indiana that work in skilled nursing facilities or even in outpatient facilities that are very well versed in working with dementia patients. But I am the only current mobile practitioner who goes into the home and does the assessment in the home environment and also provides the family coaching services and have a private practice just solely specific to the dementia population.
That's a huge benefit for people if they, but they have to find you,
Yeah.
so that's one of the things we're trying to do today.
Yes, yeah, and that's the thing is that doctors are not going to refer for this type of a service because what I found, I receive referrals from neurologists now. They didn't know about me or even that speech language pathologist did this type of work, and we're in the healthcare profession, so there's a lot of misunderstanding in the healthcare profession itself of what resources are out there and what different professionals do in this arena to help others.
Well, I had a wake up call with I care for my uncle, and he had a thyroid issue that was restricting his throat, so he couldn't swallow, and so he was on like pureed food.
Yeah.
And they sent him to they sent a speech therapist to him, and I'm kind of like, what? I don't, I, he talks fine. Right? This makes no
Right.
sense.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, they got him to where he can eat anything he wants to eat again. So it's I had no idea. So you guys do a
Yeah,
lot of.
yeah. So basically, a speech language pathologist, we do everything from here up. So, as the disease progresses with dementia, oftentimes individuals have difficulty with their swallowing function. So I also work with that stage of the disease as well. So it's not just coming up with, communication approaches. It's not just coming up with how to adapt the environment. It's also helping with swallowing as well.
So you're basically trying to help people stay cognizant longer with speech pathology or speech work. You're helping them with their swallow. You're all these different things
Mm.
to try, if somebody's trying to age at home, that you can help them do that longer, maybe, or have more.
Right, absolutely. That's what I said. A lot of people I wasn't seeing in that skilled nursing space until they had already maybe had a crisis situation, and they needed a different level of care, but they had no idea that a speech language pathologist could have helped them in the home. Of course, at that time there wasn't one because
True.
because I'm the, but that they didn't know that somebody could come to their home and you hear things like middle stage, early stage, middle stage, late stage, but what does that really mean? What does that mean from the neurologist? So I'm able to break that down, and be able to help loved ones with, well, this is what middle stage means. These are the characteristics. And so we should be doing X, Y, and Z to try to enhance their memory function and, set up their environment this way, to try to keep them safe at home.
I will tell you, you and I were having a conversation earlier that to try to promote Life's Copilot, I've joined a whole bunch of aging parents support groups on Facebook, and so my feed is filled with their anguish right now. And a lot of the things that were statistics to me before now have a face and a name attached to them. Okay, even more so. I knew that 1 in 6 millennials was a full-time caregiver for a family member. Now I'm seeing their face. I'm hearing their angst, their struggles in their life. I'm hearing what they're trying to do with mom or dad. That's not, that they're having issues with. And I have to feel. I tell you, I keep feeling like I want you in my pocket and just keep throwing you out there, going, "Hey, Jessie can help you."
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
no, yeah. I mean, I do. Right now I am working with the dementia family coaching side of things. I am working with millennial caregivers,
Mhm.
and I'm 33. So some of the caregivers are younger than me, and they're caring for their loved one with an early onset diagnosis. And they have so many questions about, you know, when is it time to have increased care in the home? What are things that we should be doing? Like they're worried about the stove and the microwave and the washing machine. And, is there anything to do with that to try to decrease a hazard from happening? How do I know when it might be time to transition maybe to assisted living or memory care? How do we approach this topic with our loved one? What do we do about driving? So all of those things I help families with, and be able to counsel them through all of that.
Well, I think a lot of times what I'm seeing too is just the frustration of the circular conversations that, or what have you. And I know that you can guide people through better ways of communicating, better ways to do that. see people complaining because they won't go to bed or they won't, so, there's all these things that
Yes,
I'm sure
yeah.
you can help
And
guide.
an approach, like approach has so much to do with it, but there's no manual that somebody gives you after this diagnosis and says, this is how your approach should be at this stage. This is how it should be at this stage. So I'm kind of that manual, but not in a book form. I'm there to be able to have that one-on-one, education session with families.
Kind of coach.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. No say. Well, I will tell you, I'm so thrilled that you've got a chance to do this. Tell me, when you're not doing Memory Compass, who are you then? Who's you? I know you have a family, so yeah.
Yes, yes. So I have my husband
Mhm.
and also my 2.5-year-old son, and we live in Zionsville. So we we enjoy the area. There's a lot of parks around here that when it's nice outside, we go to those with my son. But I was raised by my grandparents. But also very much raised by my aunts and my uncles. Just a very interesting family dynamic I have. But there's about 17 of us when we're all together, and I just have a lot of just family ties, and I love that family time of everybody, being together. A lot of times we gather at my grandparents' house still, and that's just very important to me.
That's great. Well, how would someone get a hold of you? If they need to, because they're going, oh my God, I need to talk to this one.
Yeah, yeah. So, my website is www.thememorycompass.com. There's a contact tab where you can schedule a free 15-minute consult if you want to find out more about whether you'd be more appropriate for therapy services, for dementia family coaching services, or both. Or they can email me at jessie@thememorycompass.com, JESSIE, um, and they can schedule that way as well.
Thank you for sharing with us.
Yes.